Important question for you, friends. How are you feeling about your money and your taxes today? If you're listening to this on the day that it's released, April 14th, the day before tax day, my wish is that you feel calm and prepared. And like it doesn't even matter that your taxes and quarterlies are due tomorrow. Hopefully you already have them paid. But that feeling of calm is not something that I have always had. I had years that just felt like complete chaos. And I decided, you know what? I do not want this energy in my life. But how do we get rid of it? Because we all pay taxes, right? That's not going away. But you can get rid of the stress when you're surrounded by the right money team. And that is why I am so excited to introduce Danielle Hayden, our guest on today's show. She has the most incredible background. Get this. She is a hairstylist turned CPA, and she's the CEO of Kickstart Accounting. Her accounting firm has been around for the past 10 years. We had so many synergies over the times that we were talking over Zoom. And Kickstart Accounting is the newest partner in APA. Now, if you're not familiar with APA, it's a place for aesthetic professionals to build a thriving business and community. And one of the perks in there is that we have a big black book of recommended vendors, many of whom offer sizable discounts to APA members, including Kickstart Accounting. Anyway, Danielle gives tons of information, tons of value in this episode. I hope that you enjoy it. Definitely worth a listen. So let's go ahead and play that interview. All right, Danielle, welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I love talking about money. I love talking about numbers. I love normalizing these conversations with women. So I'm so excited. You're such an open book. I think there's some really important things that we can get out there today around money and finance and accounting. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm really looking forward to it. I promise we're going to make this topic really exciting. I know most people shy away from this conversation, but my mission is really to make money and numbers approachable and fun to talk about.
Well, I love that because it is like, it's kind of this weird thing that when we start a business, or even if we're on like a specific career path, if we're an employee and trying to move up, we're uncomfortable asking for raises. We're uncomfortable saying how much money we want to make. It's one of those, it's like, what is it? Death taxes and politics or what? Like
my mom used to say before any dinner that I went to, remember, Danielle, don't talk about religion, politics, or money. And now I'm like, Ma, I go on live screen to talk about money on a regular basis.
So last night I was at karate. My kids do karate twice a week, or actually taekwondo, but I don't know why in my mind it is like infused that it's karate, but it's actually taekwondo. And I was talking to this other mom. She was so like, I just clicked with her right away. And she was, she's a preschool teacher. And I was like, there's people that put their lesson plans online and then you sell them and you can do, and I'm like telling her this whole thing. And I'm in like Daniela coach mode, even though I'm at a mom event, I had like a different hat on. I was like, so how much money do you want to make every month? And I was like, didn't realize that in the coaching space, like when I'm talking to somebody, I can so easily just be like, tell me how much money you want to make, and
talk about it.
And at karate, it was like the most inappropriate thing. And I was like, okay, let me put my phone away. Like, because I had my calculator out. I was like, I can calculate your profit margin and what you would need to do. So I was like, okay, stop, like get back in mom mode. Like, let's be focused on the roundhouse kicks and go from there.
That. That's great. It's great self-awareness to bring it back in check.
And sometimes you need that like transition moment, but it is something that I do think should be so normalized. And I think there's so many, because we grow up with those beliefs of don't talk about this, or it's not appropriate, or people are clearly uncomfortable to talk about it. We need to do it even more as business owners to make sure that we're comfortable looking at the numbers and understanding the overall health of our business and understanding what we need to be able to live the life that we want to live. So before we really like start going down the rabbit hole here, why don't you tell us a little bit, just the summary version, the nutshell version of like how you went down this path, how you started your company, all of those types of things.
Yeah. So I actually started my career as a hairdresser. I was working behind the chair as a creative. And while I was working, I got really good at understanding the numbers of what I needed to bring in to hit these different goals. And I started to teach the girls who I worked with how to read their paycheck, how to reach their goals, how we as a salon could hit our retail metrics. We became salon of the year and really helped
So
them
we're
understand the
basically
numbers.
cousins. I always say like spa and salon are like cousins. So
Yes. Yeah, they really are. Um, so I realized I had this knack for helping people understand the numbers and to use it as a game, right? Like I mean, in that context, yes, it's our paycheck, but to use the numbers as a game of how do we hit our personal and our business goals. Then took a hard right into corporate accounting, and my job there was to help the CEO, the investors, the management team understand our numbers so that we can make better business
So
decisions.
did you just go from hairstylist to corporate, or was there like any schooling or train? Like how
Yeah,
did
I
that
was going to
happen?
school. I have my master's degree, my CPA. So while I was working in the salon, I was going to school. Worked at
Okay, because
Ernst
I
and
was like,
Young.
that is a hard right turn.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing both at the same time. So while I was doing hair, I was always in school. Worked at Ernst and Young while I was still behind the chair. Finally left the salon to go into working in the accounting field full time. And at that same time, I realized I was doing a lot of the same thing, helping people understand their numbers so that we can hit our goals. So the board, the investors, the management team, the CEO, we had to look at that information and decide what's working, what's not working, what are we going to stop doing, where are we going to go the next quarter, how are we going to do better so that we hit our goals. I remember this moment in the boardroom where I was sitting there watching this conversation unfold. And I said, I am doing this to help the rich get richer, right? Like I'm helping these people, these investors in this room. And I truly believe that every business owner, right? Small business owners deserve access to that same information so that every single person can make that same decision. I was doing some volunteer work at a local entrepreneurship hub here. And I realized that small business owners didn't even have bookkeeping in place.
Oh, no. I
No.
mean, it's amazing. I was working with a spa that was doing about 800,000 a year,
Yeah.
800,000. And she literally had no idea where I was like, well, doesn't your CPA or don't they send you your report? She's like, no, I just look at it when I do my taxes at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
What?
We
I'm
could
like,
talk more about that.
blind.
We could talk more about that. But so I realized that we can't set a budget or a business plan or raise money. Like we can't do any of that unless we have bookkeeping in place. And so I went on a mission 10 years ago. Kickstart just celebrated 10 years this year.
Congrats.
Thank you. We went on a mission 10 years ago to help every single business owner with bookkeeping, which then helps them understand their numbers, make better business decisions. We do taxes as well, but taxes are like a bonus. Like we can just show up to tax season super prepared because we're business owners who use our numbers to make business decisions every single month.
And that's uh, for me, we have this kind of um, process that we've been doing for the past, I would say probably 6 years. We're also 10. We're in our 11th year now. So we're on a very similar path.
Yeah.
Um, and probably around 6 years ago, I started meeting with my financial advisor, my CPA, and my husband, and at the end of the year, and really saying, what are our goals as a family? And
Mhm.
so how much money do I want to pay myself? And so how do I take that number with my CPA and my financial advisor to understand what the goals of the business are? Because it seems kind of backwards. Most people are like looking at their business and setting the goals, but for me, you should be building a business around the life that you want to live and using that as the, well, here's how much money I want to be able to hit my goals, and here's the profit margin that we're hitting. And so here's the goals that we need to set. And that has worked tremendously in helping me live the life that I want, that changes season by season too. But I
It
have
does
no
change season.
idea. Right. I mean, I have two small kids. I started this business before kids. I birthed two kids. My husband was active duty for 21 years, so we were moving all the time. So there's different seasons where you need different things. And without the relationship that I had with our CPA and like understanding those important pieces, I have no idea how I would have been able to make some of those business decisions. I mean, it's
Well,
such a vital
you
piece.
feel like it's never enough. So if you're not meeting with your money team, so I call that your money team. If you're not meeting with your money team and you're not having that strategic level conversation with them, you end up in this cycle where nothing ever feels like enough. No matter how much money you bring in, no matter how much revenue you have, no matter how much you pay yourself, no matter how much draws you take, never feels like enough because you never took the moment to set the budget, to set the goal, and to coordinate that conversation with your money team.
But that's the hardest thing to answer, right? Is when is enough enough? I mean, I can have someone come in and tell me everything that they don't want. And then you ask them what they want. And it's like, I don't know. I want $1 million spa. Well, why do you want $1 million spa? Like, do you want $1 million spa? Do you want a $10 million spa, or do you want a $500,000 spa? Like, what are the things that you want? And I think that even just by getting to a place where you're setting goals, you have to answer those questions for yourself. It forces you to think about the life that you want to live and what you desire and all of those pieces.
Yeah.
So tell me more about, you had mentioned there's like 4 money people. Who are these people? Tell me about your money team.
Yeah. So we want four people on the money team. And I know four sounds like a lot. So, but I don't care how big or small you are. So you might just be starting out. You might be celebrating 10 years like we are. I always want you to have four people. The primary person is your bookkeeper. Now, most people go into business and they hear you need to get a CPA, right? You need somebody to file your taxes. But your CPA can't file an accurate tax return and they can't give you the information and the support you need without bookkeeping. So, really, our most important person that's going to organize and coordinate everything for you is a bookkeeper. And that's why at Kickstart Accounting, we start with bookkeeping because it is really difficult as a business owner to do all of the things. And I know that as a business owner, you want to stay in your zone of genius to do only the things that you can do. And I want you to stay there. You don't need to know how to do bookkeeping. I went to school for a really long time to do bookkeeping. Our job is to help you while you're out making money, spending money, to organize the income and the expenses. And we do that every single week at Kickstart. And then your bookkeeper should be sending you the financial statements every single month. Now, our clients receive what we call a snapshot. It's where we walk you through a high level overview of your numbers. No matter who you are working with, you should be looking at your financial statements every single month. Bookkeeping is showing you where you just went, right? Like what just happened. And we need to be looking at that monthly so that we're doing that in real time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. The second person is our tax accountant. So they are our tax accountant CPA. Their only job is to file the tax return and to help you with tax planning. So a lot of times what happens is that because our tax accountant's the first person we hire, we're calling our tax accountant for business advice. We're saying, well, you didn't send me the financial statements. We're like, I don't care about the bookkeeping. I'm only doing your bookkeeping so I can file your tax return, right? Like they're not thinking about it in that way. Your bookkeeper is thinking about, I need to organize the financials so that you understand your numbers, so that you can make better business decisions. Your tax account's job is to make sure that you can file the tax return. Again, the bookkeeper is giving the tax account accurate financials. They need to know what they're looking at. They need to have that information so that the tax accountant can then file the return and help you with tax planning. Those two people should be able to talk together. So here at Kickstart, when somebody gets on the phone with our team of CPAs, we've already coordinated hours behind the scenes with our bookkeepers. So the bookkeepers and the tax accountants, they've already coordinated behind the scenes. So by the time our client gets on the call, things are done. And so you want a team who can talk to each other so that you're not having to play that middleman. So the second person is the tax accountant. The third person is your financial advisor. So you had mentioned, your husband, the financial advisor, helping you look at, what do I need personally?
Mm-hmm.
Our business can't be our retirement fund. We need to have outside investments. Like, it creates a whole person, a whole unit. And so we need to have retirement options, investment options, savings that sit outside of our business. And our financial advisor helps us navigate that. And then we have our CFO. Our CFO is the fourth person on the money team. Now, I said bookkeeping helps us look backwards. So what just happened? And our CFO helps us to start navigate the future. So our CFO is going to help us look at, what are our goals in the future? And let's set a strategic budget. Let's pay down debt. Let's look at cash planning. Let's start to plan for the future. But we can't do that until we have a really clear vision of what just happened in the past.
And so you said you want all four people, no matter what size you were. How the CFO is the one that I'm questioning. So at what point, I know a lot of businesses will say hire a fractional CFO or have just like a once a year sit down with a CFO. Are you even doing that? Say I'm a nurse and I just left anesthesia, I'm starting my med spa, and it's just me right now. Like, I am a solo nurse injector and that's what I'm doing. Would you
Yeah.
still have a CFO?
So, just like you said, we offer like fractional CFO services for our clients and one-off budgets. So for somebody in that situation, I would say get your bookkeeping done first, right? We need to know bookkeeping is organized. You'll have your CPA team, and then you can do a once a year budget with a CFO team. So our CFO team comes in for our bookkeeping clients, does that once a year, your budget, talks about the goals, where the business is going. And then they're there when they're ready to initiate that ongoing process. But I do believe that every business should be setting a budget. But when you're ready, the bookkeeper and the tax account are my non-negotiables. The financial advisor, I actually want you to have pretty early on in business.
Yeah.
And then I agree with you. The CFO is something you can add on as a one-time budget or as you are ready to start looking at the future. Not every business owner is ready to look at the future.
So we were talking a bit before we hit record here about S corps versus single member LLCs and when is the right time to do that? Who is that person that's giving you that advice? Is that the CFO? Is that the CPA? Is that your bookkeeper? Like, where are you? That's been one of my biggest complaints that I've heard from our students that are saying, my CPA doesn't tell me anything. They don't tell me that I should be doing a backdoor Roth, or they don't tell me that I should be bringing on a 401k account for my staff, or that I should be switching over to an S corp. These things that can save you tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. So whose role is that?
So I disagree with my industry. So I'm going to start there, that what I'm going to say is not standard across the board. Not all CPAs do this. The CPA tax world has become very transactional. And in part, I blame our government for this, because you have to get in a lot of tax returns in this small window of time. We're working under a very tight deadline. And CPAs were taught how to file a tax return, not run a business.
Mm-hmm.
They're no more of an entrepreneur. They went to school to file that tax return. So they're not entrepreneurs. So we have turned this thing into a very transactional experience for entrepreneurs. And it leaves people very frustrated. And so what we've created at Kickstart Accounting through, we call it our sister company, KSA Tax Partners. We've created this experience where we can work together, both the bookkeeping and the tax team, to be able to answer questions like this. We go out of our way to make sure that our clients have this answer every single year. your CPA should at least annually be looking at your entity structure to let you know if you are working within the right entity structure. So during our mid-year tax check-ins, every single one of our clients receives a mid-year tax check-in in like August, September, October timeframe. And during their tax snapshot, we're walking them through, are you in the right entity structure? And that's where we're looking at, should you become an S corp or should you stay where you're at as an LLC the right for you? However, at any time, if you start to think, like if you listen to the show and you're like, oh, I actually do hit those milestones, you should be able to go and ask your CPA and your bookkeeper at any time if you should become a S corp. Unfortunately, the answer in the tax world is gray because not everybody agrees on when is the right time to become an S corp. Your CPA should be able to run some forecasts for you to show you how much you would save. But if it's okay with you, I'd love to give you kind of like my 3 things that I want to see before somebody becomes an S corp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if you are hitting these 3 milestones, go have the conversation with your CPA. If they don't want to have the conversation with you, we will have that conversation with you. So if you are making net income of $100,000 a year or more for more than 2 years, so not your gross revenue, I want you to look at your net income because after all of your expenses, you need to have enough money to pay yourself. The IRS says, this is not Danielle's rule, this is not Kickstarter's rule. The IRS says that once you become an S corp, you have to be on payroll, you have to pay yourself through payroll, and you have to pay yourself what's called a reasonable compensation. And reasonable compensation is how much would you have to pay somebody else to do your job in your area. So this is location based. And we find that around $100,000 of profit is enough to pay you plus the payroll taxes and possibly take out any owner's draws as well.
Okay. So that's rule number 1.
That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that you are consistently taking out owner's draws today. So just like we're not going to go on a diet on Monday, we're not going to start the routine on Monday. You are not suddenly going to become an S corp and have enough cash to pay yourself. So as an LLC, if you are not consistently taking owner's draws, then we need to get you taking owner's draws first so that we know that your business has enough cash to pay yourself. Once you become an S corp, if you can't pay yourself and you need to dissolve your S corp status, you can't become an S corp again for 5 years. So it is a decision that we need to take seriously. Number 3 is that you are not commingling business and personal expenses. So if you are currently, paying for your mortgage through your business or your kids' daycare.
Yowzers. That is.
It happens more than I want to admit. So if you're doing that type of commingling, you need to stop the commingling first. Just like the diet on Monday. I like to use that as an example because just because you become an S corp and you think that, oh, now it'll be really serious, I'm going to really stick to it. You're not. Separate your business and personal expenses. Start paying yourself on a regular basis, moving money from your business account to your personal account, taking those draws. Once we have that established and we're bringing home a net income of over 100,000, it's a no-brainer to become an S corp. It is a great tax savings. You can pay yourself through payroll. You can enjoy the reimbursements through an accountable plan. You now have a paycheck stub to go buy a car or apply for a mortgage. Like there's some serious benefits of becoming an S corp, and having those 3 things in place make that decision really easy.
What about if you're in partnership, if your household income obviously is going to have an impact on that too. So would you be like, say that you have a spouse that earns a high income, or if you have a spouse that does not earn a high income, if whatever the role is, would your advice on switching over to an S corp change in any way?
For our family situation, my opinion actually doesn't change. So when we work with our clients, we do work independently between the business and then the family. So when we look at the bookkeeping and our stance on S Corp status, tax reserves, saving for taxes. We really want to look at the business as an entity by itself. Here's why. Today, you might not be thinking about selling your business, but maybe in 3 years, somebody comes along with a really attractive offer, or your health changes, your family's health changes, something changes, and you decide that you want to sell your business. Or you need to take on investment dollars or a loan. By having your business completely separate from your personal, we're able to look at the business as its own entity, as its own individual almost. And I want you to make that decision to become an S Corp because your business can afford to pay you, that there's going to be tax savings for the business. Your tax accountant can then look at the whole picture as a personal situation. I don't believe I've ever seen where becoming an S Corp actually negatively impacted your personal tax return.
Good to know. Well, I know, like I kind of teased in our APA group that we have finally found an accounting firm, a bookkeeping firm that we are excited to partner with. This has been a long time coming, and I didn't even know that you used to be a hairstylist, which like is the cherry on the cake. It makes it even better. But I think that, there's a lot of things about the way that you operate your company, about the relationship piece. I also, I love men. I think men are great and very intelligent, but I think in a business, in an industry where we're over 90% women and it's such a taboo subject, sometimes it's really nice to be able to talk to another woman about these types of things. It's your guard is let down a little bit. And so I'm really, really excited to officially bring you guys on as a partner of Addo Aesthetics. And we've got some really awesome partner discounts available inside of APA. So Danielle, do you want to share just a little bit more about where our listeners can find you and follow you if they want to get more information from you?
Yeah. kickstartaccountinginc.com/gift. There is some beautiful downloads in that link. kickstartaccountinginc.com is our website. You can come book a discovery call. We love relationships. We have long-term relationships with our clients, and we can have an open conversation. So wherever you're at in your business, come book the discovery call. My team is even nicer than I am. They are this amazing, welcoming team. We have a team chat, and as we were recording, I'm watching them celebrate clients' wins every Friday. That chat gets really active, just celebrating our clients, because oftentimes we don't have anybody else to celebrate with. So our team likes to celebrate with our clients and loves to be there for them when things aren't going well. So come book the discovery call. We have an amazing team that's excited to be of service to you. Kickstart Accounting on Instagram is where we hang out. And then Business by the Books is our podcast where we talk about how to use your numbers to make better business decisions every single week.
Love it. Thank you so much. Be sure to follow Danielle and Kickstart Accounting, and you're welcome. This was a lot of work to find. It's a lot of work, but we're really excited. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.